Hi, I'm Foafy. So if you watch my main channel, Footofaferret, you might know that I just did a big video on Gravity Falls, which is a Disney Channel cartoon from 2012. It's a big deal, kinda, still. And one of the things I talked about in that video were Gravity Falls toys. Oh, I had a whole segment in the video about them, but now we're gonna do a bit of a deeper dive. This is, I believe, a complete series of Jazzwares Gravity Falls toys from all the way back in 2014. And these things are like collector's items now, man. They were not cheap. So yeah, this is gonna be a bad idea, but you know, we're just gonna go for it. So, toy time! So yeah, we're looking at the world of Gravity Falls toys today, and we're already getting a little bit of a sneak peek at it here, but first, since those are kind of the main event of the video, I want to save them for a little bit later and look at a few other Gravity Falls toys first. You know, so for anyone who isn't aware, Gravity Falls is a Disney Channel cartoon from the early 2010s that is massively popular even today, despite only lasting 2 seasons. And it's about 2 twins, Dipper and Mabel Pines, spending their summer vacation in the mysterious supernatural town of Gravity Falls, Oregon, with their shady great uncle Stan. And all the crazy adventures they go on, monsters, demons, I don't know, toxic masculinity, I don't know. It's a good show. It's a very good show. It's one of the most popular cartoons of the last decade. And speaking of Dipper and Mabel, the first thing we're gonna look at today are Dipper and Mabel Funko Pops. Don't click off the video, please. Yeah, this might be the first time I've ever talked about Funko Pops on this channel. I don't really collect Funko Pops aside from like 1 or 2 here and there, and usually only for franchises that don't normally get toys that are like really important to me. Hence Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, things like that. Or like bands. I mean, when's the last time you saw a toy of Rush aside from the Funko Pop? It's cool. But I know Funko Pops get a bad rep, but honestly, I really like these Gravity Falls ones. So let's take a look at them one at a time. If you watch my main channel, Footofaferret, you may have actually seen me talk about this one before. This is Mabel after like fighting the unicorns for a tuft of their hair in that one episode where the unicorns were just absolutely terrible. You know, she's clearly got some battle damage, but she's come back with her spoils of some unicorn hair, I guess, from the battle. And then she's got like unicorn blood on her face. I don't know what that's supposed to be. So, you know, in terms of being a Gravity Falls collectible with like a really niche origin behind it from one episode, I think this is actually pretty cool. You know, the main problem with Funko Pops is just the fact that they're Funko Pops. They have these giant, beady, soulless eyes. You know, they're basically designed to have no expression whatsoever, and that can sometimes lead to their toys being kinda creepy or uncanny valley. And while this one's not perfect, I think it's alright. I think the fact that they don't try to add in any extra emotion, it does kind of leave the toy still looking just like a soulless husk, but yeah, at least it's working with it. You know, it's not like these Steven Universe ones where they kept the beady eyes but still tried to give them their expressive smiles and it just looks really off-putting. And while the Mabel one is really cool, I honestly think this Dipper one is even better. The shape of the hat and the hair and everything together, it just really combines to make this look as much like a Gravity Falls character as you could possibly get while working with this husk of a format. I think the little stress lines they kept around his eyes actually work well with the beady, soulless Funko eyes. But the details of the rest of the toy are actually really nice, like the way his hair looks and the shape of the hat, and then even down to him holding Journal 3 on the side. That's really well detailed too. But Dipper and Mabel aren't the only ones who got Funko Pops. There's also Grunkle Stan. I don't have that one. There's a few variants of Dipper and Mabel. I don't have those, but I do have this guy, Bill Cipher. And this one's kind of hard to mess up, right? Like, you'd have to try to mess up Bill Cipher. He's a triangle with limbs and a hat. Of all of these, I guess the soulless beady eye can work well enough on the one character with one eye who's supposed to be an evil demon, but I don't know, there's already so little going on with this character design that, giving him his eye probably would have been fine. I do think the Funko eyes look a little bit better on Dipper than here. I think without some kind of detail on the eye, this is looking a little plain. But this is Bill Cipher. He's got his hat, he's got his little cartoon limbs, and I mean, yeah, he's a triangle. Yeah, everyone makes jokes about Bill Cipher being a Dorito. This one's a Doritos 3D. Remember those? Do they still make those? Am I stupid? So yeah, the Funko Pops are mostly okay. I like the Dipper one a lot. I think the Grunkle Stan one is probably really cool, but I don't have it. And then the other ones that I've got are like fine. The Mabel one's cute for being such a specific reference to one episode, but I think the Dipper one has better detail. But that's not all. That's not all we got. Before we get into like the really big toys, we've also got these little Gravity Falls capsule things. I don't know. shut up. So these are a kind of like checkout lane mystery box toy that you could probably find at your local like Best Buy, Hot Topic, or GameStop back in the day. I've seen these for a bunch of different franchises. I've actually looked at a few in a recent Steven Universe Toys video, but usually they're just a small figurine that's usually pretty show accurate put into this little plastic capsule for some reason. So this one's a Bill Cipher, and you can see what I'm talking about. Just that extra little detail of actually giving him an eye makes him look so much more expressive. Like, the design here is not that different from the Funko Pop, but just him having an eye actually makes him look so much more like Bill Cipher. And of course, he's got his little blue flame, which is a nice little extra touch just to give him some more personality. He's sitting on a tiny little grassy patch, and that's it. That's the toy. But you'll notice it's got these weird little things here, and it's all weird. It's because you're supposed to link them up with the other toys. So this one is of Waddles, Mabel's pet pig, which is really cute. And the whole point of these toys is that you're supposed to be able to link them up. So you can just kind of click them like that, and then boom, you can display them. You can stack them like this. That's pretty fun. It's kind of a cool way to have the display ability kind of baked into the toy. And of course, we can't have Waddles without Mabel. This is the only one of the characters that I have on me. And as you can tell, this version of Mabel is much more accurate to the show, just with a larger head. And you can stack them, and you can snap them, and you can, that's the toy. Dang it. I don't have it on me, but again, if you've watched my main channel videos on Gravity Falls, you might have seen that I actually have a large collection of these that are all in this big box made to look like Journal 3. My dad got them for me as a gift for Christmas one year, and they're so cool. It's an entire set of every character in the line, but instead of being on those like plain brown bases, they're on these shiny green ones. And then the box is super well detailed. I think it was a Comic-Con exclusive set. I still have it. It's in storage right now. I'm never gonna open it, but luckily I was able to show you a few of them outside of the box, and I have footage of the other one so that I can splice it in here and show you in this video. And with that, I am out of ways to stall for time, so now we can get back right into the big boys. So these are the official Gravity Falls Jazz Wears toys from back in 2014. 2014, man. Look at all these. This, I believe, is the complete set. You have a 6-pack of 2-inch figures and then 3 sets of 3-inch figures. Now, the thing about these toys that is very annoying and that makes it really hard to make this video is that these, as I said, are pretty expensive collector's items now. Each of these toys cost me about $100 a piece, if not more. I think this one was like $120. These are not cheap. These are not going for standard prices. These toys are a year away from being a decade old, and they are not easy to come across. So I will not be opening these in this video. Unfortunately, I will not be opening them. I know, usually I live by the motto that life's too short to not open your toys, but nah. Not this time. But that doesn't mean we still can't take a look. We're gonna start with these 2-inch figures. As you can see, we've got basically the entire main cast covered. We got Wendy, Gideon, Dipper, Stan, Mabel, and Seuss. And honestly, these all look pretty spot on, which is actually shocking to me because these toys are made by the exact same company as the regular show ones that I talked about in a previous video. Yes, these toys are from the exact same company and in like the exact same packaging as well. But while these regular show toys are like 50% accurate, 50% uncanny and creepy, these Gravity Falls ones are basically 1-to-1. Like, these are perfect. Honestly, I think Seuss and Stan are the ones that are like the most on point. Dipper's alright, Mabel's... Wendy's good, but then Gideon's huge. Like, look at that guy. Look at the size of that guy. That's just kind of a thing you gotta deal with when it comes to scaling these characters out to be 2-inch figures. And I mean, like, everything else is like basically on point. The packaging looks perfect. You can see the back where they're advertising the other toys we're gonna be looking at today. But if just looking at the toys in the box isn't enough for you want to be ungrateful for some reason, I bought them loose too. Well, everyone except Seuss. I guess this lot didn't come with Seuss. Yeah, I actually found someone on eBay who was selling an entire set of these toys, both the 2-inch and the 3-inch ones, loose, not in the box, which meant they were a lot cheaper. Could I have just bought those from the start? Yes. Did I want to? No. But you know, that does give us a chance to take a closer look at these toys and see if they turned out as well as they look in the box, or if there are hidden details that make them not good. And let's start with the man himself, Grunkle Stan. Oh, So we got Grunkle Stan here, the man himself in his Mr. Mystery suit. This, honestly, like, just like in the box, it looks really nice and show accurate. I mean, it's a little dirty, it's a little dusty musty, but I mean, that's, I guess that's just something you deal with when you buy loose toys. But his pose is really nice. I like the fact that he's just like kicking off to the side and hanging on his cane. One really nice detail about this is that the eyes are actually drawn on, so they're just flat, which gives it a much more accurate look to the show. Instead of having these like 3D protruding eyes that are completely completely unnecessary. They just painted him on, and that makes him look so much more like actual Grunkle Stan. You know, looking at him, this Grunkle Stan figure might be my favorite so far. And then we're gonna hop over and take a look at Mabel, who I've already made comment on the fact that she looks a little not quite right. Unlike Grunkle Stan, she's got these protruding eyeballs that are gigantic, and she's kind of just like staring off into nothingness, and her face looks a little bit melted, honestly. But other than that, it is Mabel. Ooh, that spin was cool. Then, of course, we gotta go right into Dipper. This Dipper toy feels a little bit better put together than the Mabel, because again, they didn't carve out the mouth to be 3D, they just painted it on. He does have those protruding eyes, but they feel a little bit more subtle this time. Actually, let's compare. Yeah, it looks like her eyes are a lot more outside of her skull than Dipper's, so that kind of adds to the fact that hers looks a little bit off. But no, this Dipper toy is right on point. It's got the hat right, it's got the flashlight as a little bit of an extra little detail. He is not holding Journal 3, unlike his Funko Pop. He's just holding a flashlight, which, it's not quite as cute of a detail, but, you know, it's still in character. He's a very puny looking little dude. Him and this Mabel toy, I don't know if they would be able to stand up. Nope. Try it again. Nope. Try it again. Nope. Try it again. Nope. And then we got Wendy, the teenage girl who works at the Mystery Shack and Dipper has a massive crush on, and she's in like maybe 25% of the episodes or something. Nah, I'm messing around. She's a really cool character. And there's not a whole lot to say about this toy. It's Wendy. Maybe a little shorter than I would assume Wendy is. Like, I feel like her head is a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be, and her body is a little bit shorter than it's supposed to be. But, I mean, if you compare it to Dipper, oh, Dipper looks giant compared to Wendy, but not quite as giant as Big Gideon. Look at the size of this dude. Look at the size of this dude compared to, where did I put him? Look at the size of this dude compared to Grunkle Stan. He is huge. He is gigantic. But yeah, that's just kind of a thing you have to deal with when it comes to scaling these toys out properly for these sets. Sometimes the smallest character has to be one of the biggest character. This is actually one of the more like weighty toys of the bunch because this guy is dense. His hair is huge, his face is huge, his body is just a wall. Look at him, he is like clenching. Like, this guy is not comfortable at all. But in terms of being a Gideon toy, it is pretty accurate. They got the character right, they got all the details right, and they got his attitude right, I guess. It just cracks me up how big he is. And then since I don't actually have one outside of the box, let's take a closer look at Seuss here. Honestly, it kind of looks like one of the cleaner designs of all of these toys. You know, like I said, Mabel's face looks a little bit melted, and all the other characters might have one or two like finish checking issues here and there. But honestly, Seuss here looks really clean and really on point. I like him. It's a shame I can't get him out of this box without forfeiting $120 in sealed value of something that I really shouldn't open. Maybe I can find another one online somewhere. But it's Seuss. He will never be free. But then again, if you look at the back of this box, you will see these other toys advertised. 3-inch figures also available. Uh-oh. Let's take a look at those. Probably shouldn't throw them around. So now we've got the Gravity Falls 2 figure packs. These are now slightly bigger toys that only come 2 to a pack, but they're a lot more detailed and you still get all your classic characters. So this one obviously is Mabel and her pet pig Waddles, and aw, look at that little guy. And luckily, that set I bought on eBay came with the 3-inch toys as well, so we can look at these in better detail without actually having to open anything. Good. Yay. So starting with Mabel, this is much better than the 2-inch toy. Her smile is actually painted on this time instead of carved out, which I think looks a lot better. The eyes are still a bit protruding, but not too bad. Ah, I dropped it. I don't know if these figures are posable or anything. Like, I don't know if the arms move, but you can swivel the head a little bit. No. But yeah, the larger scale of this toy allows the details to be a lot more on point, although the stare is a little unnerving. And also her hair is a little bit too heavy for her to stand up. She will not stand up. But then there's Waddles. This is a cute little pig guy. I like this one a lot. It's very hefty. It feels like a really high quality toy. And it's kind of hard to mess up. It's just a cute little pig. And because he's on all fours, stands like perfect. So then we can move on to Dipper and the gnome. Why the gnome? I don't know, they were really proud of this barfing rainbow gnome for some reason. Of course, I managed to get these in the loose bundle too, so no opening that for me. Let's actually look at the gnome first this time. Oh, he's spinning. He's doing gymnastics. He's kind of sort of T-posing here. He's like bent over, but T-posing. And as you can see, this is one of the gnomes from the very first episode of Gravity Falls, bent over, hurling out some rainbows. They were astonishingly proud of this joke back in the day. I remember it being in like all the marketing material. I remember it being on a lot of merchandise. They loved this joke. It must have really hit with kids back in the day. I mean, it was still that early 2010s era where we were still coasting on like narwhal and rainbow humor. But you know, for an outdated meme, this toy is sculpted really well. I think the rainbow is a little dark for some reason. Like, it kind of looks like sewage. It's not very bright, but the rainbow vomit does make up part of the base, so he stands perfectly. Then of course, we gotta look at Dipper. He's got some like crust in his hat. He's got some like gunk in his hat for some reason. Like the Mabel toy, the larger scale of this figure allows it to have a little bit better detail, but I will say both of these larger figures have kind of scrubbed all the personality away from the smaller ones. The smaller ones had them in like poses with expressions, and these ones are just kind of like mascot costumes. Also, a Dipper's kind of looking in two different directions here. I don't know if he's all right. He might need to go to a doctor. But, you know, like the other Dippers we've seen today, a lot of the details are on point. The shape of the hat, the design of the hair, the jacket, all of it looks basically perfect. I do think you can move the arms of this one a little bit, but not that much, and I feel like it would break very easily if I were to force it any further. I don't, however, think you can move the head on this one. That's weird. He can't say no, 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 no. But unlike the Mabel one, this one, I think, yeah, he can stand. He can stand easy. And he can stand next to his sister. Never mind. And then last but not least, we have Grunkle Stan and Bill Cipher. Two of the most important characters in the show who are the focus of one of the most important fan theories going around since the end of the show happened. Spoilers, this guy goes into this guy's mind and then they wipe his memory and that's how they kill this guy. And then there's a theory that because he got his memories back, this guy, the main villain of the show, could probably come back. Sorry. Third verse, same as the first two. I have these outside of the box as well. Since he has the least amount going on, let's take a look at the chip himself. So we got Bill Cipher here, the first one we've seen where he's actually about as thick as he probably is in the show. I mean, that Funko Pop was thick, and the one in the tube had a little bit of a husk to it, but this one is just like a straight up like piece of paper. And honestly, he looks pretty perfect. Design-wise, I don't think there's anything more they could have done to make this look like Bill Cipher. The arms and legs are on point, the hat is just the right size. In general, all the proportions are right. They made sure to sculpt out the detail of like the bricks on the bottom half of him, which look really nice, and his eye has a little bit of a raise to it, so it looks kind of real. Yeah, real. I didn't even notice that detail until right now, and I've had these toys for like a month. Yeah, I like this one. The only problem is that because it's this, it doesn't stand at all. So it actually came with a stand for you to display him on, but maybe I didn't read the eBay listing very well, but the guy who sold it to me, the stand had broken and they had just globbed some glue onto the back of him, and so now he's just got a bit of a wet spot on his butt. Not too jazzed about that if I'm being honest, but it's made better by the fact that this Grunkle Stan figure might be my favorite of the whole bunch. He is tall, man. This is the biggest figure by far. The details, shape, and proportions are all perfect. He is a triangle of a man himself. His arms are the most movable out of all of them by far, though they do kind of swing a little bit. They could probably stand to be tightened up a little. He does kind of have the same issue as Dipper and Mabel in that all of his expression has been taken away for this like mascot costume face. Also, his head is like permanently tilted. There's no way to move his head on this one, so he's just kind of like cocked his head to a side like a dog that's confused. Now that I'm like really looking at it, the stare's a little off-putting. Also, he's holding his hand out like this as if he's supposed to be holding something. I don't know if the toy is supposed to come with anything that he's meant to hold. Here, let's see. He's holding, Mordecai. He's holding Mordecai. Step right up to the mystery shack, folks. We got one anthropomorphic talking blue jay for sale. Something like that, I don't know. Yeah, again, his eyes are painted on, which makes it look a lot more like the show. His mouth is sculpted out, but not super intensely. It just kind of gives him a little bit more shape to the face. I like this one a lot. He stands perfect, too. Actually, let's check the box. Was he supposed to come with like a cane or something to hold? Let's take a look at the box. See? I can prove that I didn't just open these off camera and I'm not lying to you. They're right here. Let's take a look at the back. No, it doesn't look like this comes with anything that he's supposed to hold. However, I do notice this little thing right here. This has been on all of them, actually. Every single one of these boxes says scroll inside on them. And that made me really nervous because whenever there's something in a toy that you can't just see in the box, I get like, now I have to open it. I didn't wanna. And as you can see, they have been in every single toy. That's it right there. There's a little paper scroll right there. There's one at the bottom of the Mabel one, and then there's one at the bottom of the Dipper one. The Mabel one is in a different spot than the other two. I don't know why that is. I don't know, taxes. And there's even a scroll inside this one too, but I can't actually see it inside the box, so I don't know. But that honestly made me really nervous that in order to get the full experience of these toys, I was gonna have to, you know, open them, like toys. But luckily, the guy on eBay who was selling the loose toys also included a couple of the scrolls. Basically, I sacrificed having the Seuss toy to have a couple of the scrolls to show off on camera. So as we unfurl one of these, we can actually take a look and see what it is. Oh. Thank God, thank God. Yeah, okay, so these are just pages from the journal, which if you have the Journal 3 book, you can see in much greater detail. These are nothing unique, these are nothing super crazy, they are not worth opening the toys for. But because this is a card channel, we can kind of like display them like this. That's kind of neat, which is actually really nice because the fact that these are scrolls meant that the paper was like already rolled up and creased when you got it out of the box. So I was able to kind of like sleeve them up and put them into these Pokemon card top loaders. Because if there's one thing I am prepared to do, it is protect fragile pieces of paper. So yeah, we got the Undead. This is the zombie page from the very first episode of Gravity Falls. And then we got the Gnome page, which is also from the very first episode of Gravity Falls, I think. Huh, interesting. I would assume that this was probably in the Mabel one, and this was probably in the Dipper one, since there was a gnome in that one, and Mabel dated the zombie guy, who also turned out to be gnomes. I don't know. They didn't actually say which toys these were from, but we've got 2 of the 4, so I think that's good enough. But yes, that is the weird and wacky world of Gravity Falls toys. It wasn't that weird this time compared to like the regular show ones, but yeah, I think these toys are really cool. I'm glad I was able to get them and not have to open them so they can continue to be displayed in my collection. Yeah. Leave.